Hello, friends. It's me, Carrie. If you don't know me, I've lost 200 pounds and I'm on a mission to lose the rest of my weight. And I hope that you will follow me on this journey. So, what I want to talk to you about today is what if I told you that every single diet that you have ever been on was designed to make you fail? Would you believe me? The more you diet, the harder it actually gets to lose weight. Sounds crazy, right? Sounds like some sort of weird conspiracy theory. But stick with me, because by the end of the video, I hope that you will understand exactly why I feel diets are a lie and what I think actually works instead. And trust me, it's not the what the weight loss industry wants you to know. Sorry if I'm kind of seem distracted or something, but my dogs are going crazy. They're fighting and carrying on. So anyway, I've talked about this before, but I've been on lots of diets. I'm not going to name names of diets because, there's no point. But let's just say I have been on quite a few diets. Fad diets, diets that are not really probably considered fad diets. They're probably considered healthy diets, but they're diets in the long run. That is exactly what they are meant to do, is to just be a short-term fix and not a lifestyle. And I think that's the biggest problem, or at least that I think it's the biggest problem, is that we're not looking at things as a lifestyle change. We're looking for things as, a diet. So let me tell you a little story. I grew up with very loving parents who supported me in everything that I did. And they also loved me unconditionally. Therefore, there was never any pressure put on me to be a certain size or to, get to a certain weight on the scale or, to go on crazy diets. I've heard lots of stories where, parents were ashamed or parents were embarrassed or parents were, wanting, maybe they didn't know how to help their child. So they, diet mentality. And I just did not have that. My parents were so supportive and loving that they did not force upon me any of those things. Now, looking back, I wish, in hindsight, not that I would have been forced to go on diets, and not that I would have been made to feel like I was less than, or that they were embarrassed or ashamed, because, I don't. But I wish that they had known what true nutrition was, and that they would have, had people in their lives, doctors and stuff like that, that could have told them, no, this is not proper nutrition, and here's what proper nutrition is. But as I got older, I went on diets, and they worked for a little while. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys. A diet will work if you follow it. If you're in a caloric deficit and you don't binge like crazy and have cheat days and, go all out, then you are most definitely, going to lose weight. But the fact of the matter is it going to stick? Is that weight loss going to stay off? Or is it going to come right back? If you are not focusing on what it's supposed to be, which is a lifestyle, and that's the problem with diets, right? They're not a lifestyle. They're a diet. They're temporary. They're not made to be able to be lived on. So I was going on these diets and I'd lose some weight, but then, you can't live on them forever. So I would gain the weight back, and I would go, thinking that, well, I just need to exercise more. So when I was able to, before I got so heavy that I was not able to do those exercises, I did it. I exercised. And what I found was that you are not going to out exercise a bad diet. Your diet matters more than what you do for exercise. So it didn't matter if I rode 10 miles on the bicycle. It didn't matter if I walked 10 miles on the treadmill. It didn't matter if I lifted weights for 2 hours. If I was going home and downing, all this processed horrible food and high fat food and high caloric food, then all of that was for nothing, because it didn't work. It didn't, it didn't keep it from happening, the weight from coming back. So I did, and then I would, you would have cravings, and you would have, things that just insatiable hunger that I just couldn't overcome. And I didn't have the proper keys for the lock, is a way that I can kind of think about it. So it's just, I don't know. I kind of think about it like, here I am doing something that's unbearable, and I'm miserable, and all I can think about is, when's this diet going to end? When am I going to be able to eat normal food again? Which the food I was eating wasn't even normal to begin with. So I don't even know where. I guess society has ingrained into me that normal food. I still get that today, guys. People will say to me, oh my gosh, when are you going to be able to eat normal food again? Dude, I'm eating normal food. I'm eating real food. Like, I'm not eating anything out of a box or a bag, and I am eating actual food with one ingredient, real food. Like, I don't understand when people say to me, when are you going to be able to eat real food again? Like, it just blows my mind. So that just proves to me. But back to the story. When I was on these diets, I would just be like holding my breath for weeks. That's what it would feel like. And then the diet would be over. And when I broke that diet, I broke it hard, guys. So I ate every single thing I'd been avoiding, every single thing I could get my hands on. And I am not proud of it. I am not. But I have to be honest and open, because you don't get to my weight without having binges and having problems. And mine was an addiction to food. And I didn't know that at the time. But I just, it would just be crazy. Like, it would be crazy. But, as time went on, one day of that turned into 2, which turned into a week. And before I even knew it, I was back exactly where I started, and sometimes even heavier. And it was just these terrible, terrible, terrible cycles. So I promised at the beginning of this video we would talk about why diets are lies. So let's get into that a little bit. They're designed to keep you coming back. If they actually worked long term, like we talked about, then the weight loss industry wouldn't even exist. They need people to keep going on these diets so they can sell you a bill of goods that it's not going to work and it's very impossible to sustain forever. Most diets are built around restriction. They're cutting everything, especially calories. You're eliminating, all these foods, and before you know it, you're eating like 1 or 2 things that have little to no calories and little to no nutrition in them. And, like I talked about earlier with me, it does work in the short term. But what happens when life gets in the way? What happens when a vacation comes around? What happens when you're stressed and you have this stressful day? What about family gatherings? You, what I call, slip up and suddenly you're off the wagon, Guess what? The diet industry counts on that. That's my opinion, because every time you fail, They know that you are going to come back to them and that you're going to look for another program, another plan, another fix. And the truth is, you didn't fail at all. This diet culture has failed you. And also, diets really, in my opinion, mess up your body's natural signals. So when you're constantly cutting calories to extremes, and you're ignoring your own body's hunger and fullness cues, then, you're teaching, I think, your body to override that natural mechanism. So now you're eating according to these external rules instead of what your body actually needs. And over time, that's going to create this crazy chaos within your body. And then you start eating based on numbers instead of actual hunger. And then you feel guilty when you eat and you're hungry. And then you ignore when you're full. And, the diet will say, well, you can still have more or you can't have any more. So people sometimes struggle with binge eating after dieting. I did. And then they turn around and think it's a lack of willpower. It's your body fighting back. Like, you are meant to eat until you are full, or not completely full. Like, you are meant to eat until you are almost full, I think. That's what I do now. Just eat till I'm almost full, and then I'm ready to eat again at the next meal. So, and then like we've talked about in a previous video, I also believe that a fast metabolism is not always a good thing. So one of the biggest diet myths, in my opinion, is that a faster metabolism equals better health, better weight loss. But the truth in the studies that I've studied shows that a slightly slower metabolism is actually linked to longer life. So I'm not going to go into this, big time, because I've gone into it in another video. And if you want to see that, check it out. But if you constantly force your body into going into these, extreme caloric deficits, for example, you just don't burn fat, I don't think. And I think it also starts breaking down muscles, and you start slowing down non-essential functions to conserve energy. But I also think that if you are eating way more than you need, i.e. 6 small meals a day, then you are also messing up your metabolism. You are not helping it. You are not making it faster. You are not making yourself burn fat because you are burning the last meal that you ate 2 hours ago. So I think things get out of balance either way. If you go way short or not, or way high. And, I just believe that if you get into that moderate caloric restriction, then you will live longer. And I think the studies prove that and back it up. And I'm not going to really get into this, 6 small meals thing, but there again, I don't think you should do that. So what worked for me and what I think, my opinion on what works. I think you should stop dieting altogether. I think everybody should. I think we should start nourishing. So instead of focusing on better food, and I think we should start focusing on better food, and for me, that is a whole plant food-based diet. And I think that these foods are very naturally filling. They're nutrient dense. So you're giving your body actual real nutrition. You are eating real food. As I said in my story earlier, people still ask me, when are you going to eat real food again? Dude, I am eating it now. Enough. So when you do that, though, you naturally are going to eat the right amount of food, and you're not going to have any restriction. You're not going to have to calorie count, and you're not going to have to obsess over it. Let your body rest between meals. Forget it. Do not eat 6 meals a day. Eat 3 meals a day that are high nutrient dense meals, and let your body have breaks in between. If you can, stop eating as early as you can in the evening, and that will give your body even longer overnight. And that's when your body heals and repairs. It doesn't need to be digesting food. Your food should be digested before you even hit the bed. And that way, you are repairing yourself. That is when it's supposed to take place. And probably what I should have said first, and what I believe the most, is heal your relationship with food. That's what I had to do. I struggled with emotional eating. I struggled with binge eating. I struggled with food addiction. The answer wasn't another diet. It's a lot of work, a lot of mindset work, learning to separate food from emotions, learning to deal with stress properly, boredom, anxiety, being happy, being sad, celebrating every single thing that we celebrate with food. I had to stop that. And I grew up in a family who celebrated every single occasion with food. Happy food, sad food, mad food, food. And I had to learn that that was not how you cope with things. That's not how you celebrate things. You can turn to other things other than food. So I had to retrain my brain that food isn't the enemy, but I also couldn't rely on willpower either to stay on track. I had to change the way I ate and my relationship with food in order for those things to come together in what they are now, which is 200 pounds lost. And I'm going to continue so that I can get the rest of this weight off. I am so excited and looking so forward to that. So, the next time that you're tempted to start a new diet, ask yourself this question. Do I want a temporary fix? Or do I want this thing to actually last? Because the truth is, diets are lies. Your body knows the truth, man. Let me ask you this. What's the worst diet that you've ever tried? Leave it in the comments and let's talk about it. And until our next conversation, let's do this recovery thing together. Bye.